In 2025, the print-on-demand game has changed, and to be honest, no one's really talking about it. You can no longer easily emerge into a marketplace like Etsy by launching designs onto apparel. The competition is way too solidified at this point in time, and that has literally been done thousands and thousands of times over and over and over again. Now, I want you to take a minute, though, and I want you to play a game with me. I want you to imagine you could theoretically turn back the hands of time. You could go back 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago. And knowing what you know now with POD sellers who have literally generated hundreds of thousands of sales on the platform with their print products, you could go all in with your business then. What would your business look like today? How much further along in the process would you actually be? Now, what if I told you that anyone can do this right now, today, in 2025? Not theoretically, but literally today in 2025. And that I'm going to show you exactly how to do this in this course right now. Would you watch it all the way through? Well, I definitely hope so, because I'm literally about to show you my exact research and development process that has led me to over $10 million with my print products sold through my storefronts, Wimley Mugs, Sigmo Creations, Wimley Littles, Wimley Apparel. That's led my top 7 clients to over $25 million in Etsy POD sales alone, and that hundreds of other sellers have used to generate this 6-figure level in their business. Now, one thing I want to preface with real quick on the front end is that this is a very high level course that I'm going through. If you are someone who needs to figure out how to start an Etsy shop or create one for the first time, and you need the very basic beginning steps, this is not the video for you. But if you're someone who is looking to actually find growth in your business and actually understand what to do to achieve really big results, then this is exactly the course for you. So I just want to make sure there's clarity on the front end right now with what this course is all about. So let's continue. So first and foremost, there is a golden key to the sellers who pour their time into their POD business in 2025 and are actually reaping high volumes of success versus the sellers who are pouring in the same amount of time and the same amount of effort in 2025, yet they're reaping very low volumes of success or almost nothing at all. And that golden key gets boiled down to one main distinction. And this distinction is with what I call strategic product types. Now, a strategic product type can be qualified in 2 separate ways in the POD space. Number one, it can be a product type that has high demand and very limited access to fulfillment. So there's a lot of search volume for that product, but you can't find a print partner for it. Number 2 is a product that has high demand and it also has access to fulfillment. But when you actually look at the print provider's catalog, you'll realize you can't actually price your products effectively to then sell at scale, which throttles you completely within that product type. So what we have here is Business 101, supply and demand in your favor as a seller when you access any strategic product types out there, because you literally have high demand, but there's very low supply. And sometimes that means you have a 50 or 100x advantage to other sellers who are all focused in on the exact same product. There's crazy stats in the POD space like Printify stats. They have 10 million users on Printify. 10 million. 10 million is an insane number. 10 million people who are fighting over the exact same products on rotation over and over and over and over again. We're talking about t-shirts and sweatshirts and apparel. That's where 90% of those 10 million sellers sit. So when you can remove yourself from that vicious cycle of just sitting on the exact same thing everyone's been doing for the last half decade or longer, you get disproportionate advantages immediately out of the gate, which means you just have more probability of generating sales for your business. Now, in the coming weeks, I'm going to be going through every untapped product type you could be leveraging in your POD business and show you exactly how to build them step by step. I'm literally going to show you, here's the product type, here's where to get it from, here's what to do with your photos, here's what to do with your designs, here's what to do with your pricing, your keywords, your advertising, literally everything. I'm going to give it to you step by step. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of these product gold mines. You will not find anything like this from anyone else in 2025. Now, I do want to address one topic here, which is, can you still win with mainstream POD products in 2025? And the answer is simply yes, absolutely. You can still win. Sellers are crushing it all day long with mainstream POD products. It's just that if you are jumping in or you're trying to grow into a new product category, new product type, It's going to be an uphill battle. It's going to require a higher skill set. It's going to take longer if you're focusing on where everyone else is focusing already. But absolutely, you can still win with these products because they have the base fundamental that drives your business forward on a platform, which is a very large amount of search volume. That is the demand for your business. So absolutely, you can win with these products. It's just going to be a lot more difficult in today's environment. So in order to properly leverage any POD products, whether they are strategic products or they're mainstream POD products, you still need to understand the proper mechanics for 2025. So let's go ahead and jump in and deep dive into my exact research and development process. So the foundation of your business is search volume. Now, this is a main thing I anchor back to all the time whenever I've been coaching a client. I have, just talked to sellers, whatever it may be. Whenever I'm having a conversation about growing your business or getting clarity for a POD seller, it always comes back to this. The potential of your business on a platform is no more and no less than the total amount of search volume that you're leveraging. So if you are right now stuck in a position, you need to really reconcile, am I focused on products that actually have search volume behind them? If they don't have demand, why would you be selling them on a platform? The reason why we give platforms like Etsy or Amazon or any other platform out there a percentage of our business is due to the fact they give us something in return. What does Etsy give us in return? They give us 100 million buyers. That's a lot of buyers to work with. So that's why we're giving Etsy these fees and percentages overall, because we're getting in exchange. We're getting eyes on the products we offer, which means we need to be leveraging that. We need to be leveraging the search volume if we want to be focused on a platform. So Etsy is a massive platform for print-on-demand products. It contains tens of thousands of highly in-demand, uniquely searched-for products that you can be leveraging all throughout these POD product types. So with that base understanding in place, we're going to go ahead and go down and focus in on how do you actually leverage all of the search volume then. If Etsy does have 100 million buyers on the platform, how do you go about leveraging that? Because they're obviously looking for a tremendous amount of different things and, what should your focus be? And I'm so glad you asked because this is a very important question. So how you actually go about leveraging search volume is by focusing on what I call a high potential product type, or HPPT. Now, a high potential product type is a singular product such as a tumbler, a coffee mug, a baby onesie that has a large amount of search volume behind it expressed through hundreds of uniquely searched for designs. So think of all these POD products out there. You have your mainstream ones like t-shirts or coffee mugs or sweatshirts or things like that. Then you have your more like narrowed down ones like framed prints, or maybe it's a jewelry item. All of these product types have a bunch of individually searched for products within that. So the potential of any of these products like a tumbler, a coffee mug, or a baby onesie is not necessarily just the baby onesie or just the coffee mug or just the tumbler. It's actually all the uniquely searched for products within that. People are looking for a coffee mug for their grandma. They're looking for a baby onesie with a giraffe on it. They're looking for a tumbler for their best friend, whatever it may be. That's where the search volume actually comes from. It's those uniquely searched for products that are contained within these different POD product types. So I want to take a second. I want to backtrack up to one important area. We can't just skip over this because it's extremely important to anchor this down now if you want to be successful. So why did I say focus on one high potential product type? Why didn't I say, focus on 5? And I can break this down very simply for you. If you're a seller right now and you are struggling to find success, what makes you think that going after 5 product types is going to be more effective than just mastering 1 product type? If you can't get it right with 1, what makes you think you're going to be successful with 5? And now this is a super normal game we play in our heads that, okay, if this product type didn't work, then maybe it's this other one. Or if that product type didn't work, maybe I should go to another one. And we play a never-ending game that I call shiny object syndrome. We're always going to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And we never just stop. We never just anchor down, and we never just master 1. And in the POD space, here's what you have to understand. If you anchor down and you master 1 product type, something magical is going to happen. You will have unlocked the code to then do it with your second, your third, your fourth, your fifth, and so on. And that is how you scale your business. But most people are too impatient, and they jump into 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 product types, and they keep playing this endless cycle of mediocrity, and they never actually find success, and then they just say, POD doesn't work, it's not for me, and they move on to a new shiny object. So if you want to actually find success, anchor this down right now, hold on to this, and throughout the training, this will really connect some dots for you. So 1 product type, 1 platform, six figures. Did you know that you only need one high potential product type to reach the six-figure level with your print-on-demand business on Etsy? You only need one. And in addition to everything I stated above, why should you only be focused on just one high potential product type? And the answer really comes down to effectiveness. When you begin the research and development process, let's say you're spending 1 or maybe 2 weeks doubling down, and you're double down and focus on just one product. When you're doing this, you're going to start to become an expert in that product type much, much quicker than if you were spread thin across multiple. You're going to start picking up on nuances of what to do with your designs, which specific products you should be launching, what your photos should look like, what your pricing structure should be, what your keywords should be. You start to really understand, okay, this is what is working in the marketplace because I'm focused and I'm studying. So by sheer focus, you can become an expert 10 times quicker. Number 2 is you maintain maximum buyer relevancy for cross sales. So as you begin getting your first listing up and then 10 listings and 20 listings, eventually 100 listings in, you start to notice you're getting a lot of cross sales in your business. Someone's going to find you through one product and then they buy others because there's relevancy in your shop. Number 3 is you maintain better focus with your designs. Now, in the POD space, designing is one of your biggest levers to creating sales for your business. So when you are doubled down in one area, you can learn what I call key design attributes for your product type, which are basically elements of design across all these best-selling listings within the product type you're in. Now, KDAs or key design attributes differ from product type to product type. So the key design attributes for, let's say, a t-shirt are going to be different than the key design attributes on wall art. And the key design attributes on wall art might be different than the key design attributes on a coffee mug, on a tumbler, on an ornament, and so on. So as you pick up on these nuances of these best-selling designs, you equip yourself with the KDAs for the product type you're in, which allows you to bring more value with your designs, which is going to allow you to make sales for your business. And then point number 4, it is the easiest path to scale. When you're doubled down and focusing on one product type, you can spend the time to have the best product selection. You know exactly which products to launch because you spent the time focusing on figuring out which ones you should launch. You can spend all of that time creating the best photo templates that you're going to reuse on every single product in that product type that you are leveraging. You can spend all that time doubling down on learning the key design attributes for the product type you're in. You can learn the best pricing structure. You can learn the best offer tactics. You can take all of this and just do it one time super effective. And now you have all of the tools and all the resources you need to scale out that product type and start actually creating value for the marketplace and generating sales for your business. So it makes it much easier for you than trying to do that 5 times over. Imagine trying to make great photo templates for a tumbler and then trying to make great photo templates for a print and then trying to make great photo templates for a onesie. You're going to find yourself just being a jack of all trades and really not bringing very much value. And when you don't bring very much value, you're not going to generate sales for your business. So with all of those foundational principles in place, your path to 6 figures on Etsy is going to come down to 2 things: your product selection and what you do with those products. If you can get really good at choosing the right products to launch, products that are in demand, and then you can get really good at deploying certain things on those products that makes them valuable, you will win time and time again. So with that, let's get started with how to map out your product selection. So in order to map out your product selection properly, you need to first and foremost choose which high potential product type are you going to be selling in. Now, in order to actually verify if a product type is a high potential product type or a low potential product type, there is specific criteria and a process you want to go through to qualify that, which I'm going to show you here in a minute, that exact process. But I want to highlight what the traditional way of doing this is, which is with mainstream POD products, which people have been doing time and time again. So the flow would go as follows. So first and foremost, you'd find a fulfillment company like Printify or Printful. Once you found a fulfillment company out there, you would jump into their product catalog right here. As you look through their catalog, which honestly, Printify and Printful have dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of different product types to choose from, you would grab that product type and you'd bring it over to Etsy and you would try to qualify it. Does it actually have search volume? Is there demand for this product type? Now, when going through this process, what you'll come to find is you will find a bunch of different product types to leverage. You will find access to fulfillment, but then you will also find that it is way too expensive to price your products effectively. You might be like, wow, this product type I'm looking at from Printify, this is really cool. There's demand for it. There's bestsellers all over the place. There's people who are buying this left and right. But when I actually go and look at what their catalog pricing is, even with Printify Premium, I realize that it is way out of reach. If I, price my product effectively like these best sellers around are doing, I would be so overpriced that no one would ever buy my product. And if I did get competitive on it, I would literally lose money on the sales I generated. And then number two, out of the small percentage of products that you go through this process with that do qualify, we're like, okay, here is, a product from Printify's catalog that does have a lot of demand and I can actually get it for a price where I can price effectively. You'll notice that every single POD seller is doubled down. These are product types like t-shirts or sweatshirts where you see sellers who have already solidified, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of sales. And every day there's thousands of more sellers who are jumping into those exact same product types. So there is immense competition. So with the traditional way of mainstream POD products, you get really boxed into a very uphill battle, which is not the way I recommend to do it in 2025. So the method I highly suggest doubling down on in 2025 when choosing your high potential product type is by choosing a high potential product that is specifically a strategic product. Now remember, a strategic product can be qualified in two different ways. It could be a product type that has a lot of demand over on Etsy, but it has very limited access to fulfillment. Or B, it has all that demand on Etsy, it has access to fulfillment, but pricing is just way out of reach and you can't actually price your products effectively with mainstream print providers. If you can find access to these specific products, remember, you have supply and demand in your favor. Sometimes this is at literally a 50 or 100x multiple in your favor because there's that much less competition on the items. Even if the product type has 2 or 3 times less demand, if there is hundreds of times less competition there, you are going to be set up to win at a much faster pace than you would just doubling down on those mainstream products. So at this point in time, you're probably like, okay, Jesse, that sounds amazing. I would love to offer products that have great demand behind them and very limited access to fulfillment so that the supply and demand is in my favor. That sounds wonderful, but where are these strategic product types you speak of? And I am so glad you asked because that is a very important question. So there is 2 ways in which you can go after strategic product types. Way number 1 is a little bit more of a difficult approach, but it can absolutely be done, which requires you to manually search out and find those smaller print providers that you cannot access through companies like Printify. Now, I've seen this actually work successfully, usually within closed groups of sellers who are a little bit higher level in the POD space, where they do get access to fulfillment from these smaller print partners and can access products that other sellers can't. Now, when doing this, the only problem that you'll face is that their softwares are not built out for a POD seller. You will not be able to easily connect your storefront and manage orders, and honestly, as a POD seller, it becomes a nightmare very quick, but it is absolutely an option, and I know other sellers who have done this and processed, hundreds, if not thousands of orders with these print providers. Now, the second option is with my fulfillment company, Inner Circle Prints, where we specifically give you access to strategic product types only. This means our entire catalog is filled with only product types that qualify as strategic products. In our first year, we only had a couple different strategic product types available. Our second year, we got up to about a dozen product types available. And now this year, we'll have over 20 strategic product types that you can leverage that will separate you from the average POD seller. Now, Inner Circle Prints used to be gated to a private community of sellers, but is now available for any POD seller who wants to access our fulfillment for an affordable monthly cost, just like Printify Premium. Now, our focus on strategic product types is not just a hypothetical, like this should work scenario. We have actual data, which is, to be honest, mind-blowing in the POD space. Our average active Inner Circle Prints user inside of 2024 averaged just over 1,000 sales in their business, and our top users hit between 10,000 and 30,000 sales just inside of 2024. And this just kind of puts a stamp on the need for strategic products and the need for the right education, which you get inside of ICP. Now, if you want to jump into Inner Circle Prints, we do have a special promo right now with the code UNLOCK. You can get 20% off our annual plan, but we also have monthly plans available as well. But let's continue through the training. Okay, so if you are a note taker, this is your time to shine. From here on out throughout the rest of the course, we're going to be getting very specific, giving you all of the criteria, the details, all the information you need to succeed with your POD products on Etsy. So make sure you have your notepad and your pen or whatever you use to take notes, because we're going to be covering a lot of information. So for choosing your high potential product type, regardless of who you use for fulfillment, it does not matter here. It's the exact same strategy involved. So first and foremost, we need a wide range of search volume within the product type we're looking at. And we also, of course, need access to fulfillment. Now, with search volume, there's a specific way in which we want to view this. The fastest way to reverse engineer search volume is for you to find multiple Etsy shops that sell mainly inside of the singular product category or product type that you're looking at, with roughly 5,000 or more sales, all within the past few years or so. So this is a quick and effective way for you to solidify potential before deep diving into market research. So you're really looking for more than one Etsy shop right here that is selling predominantly inside of one product category with roughly 5,000 or more sales in the past few years. Those are the important components here. You're trying to get a grasp, okay, how much success is being driven inside of this product type that I'm looking at. Now, for fulfillment, you need to go into your print provider's catalog. So whether it is Inner Circle Prints, it's Printify, Printful, whoever it is, you need to go in their catalog and make sure you have access to the fulfillment. For this training, we are going to use Inner Circle Prints for our product catalog. So let's jump in here. All right, so for step number one, we have some of the products from the Inner Circle Prints catalog in front of us right here. Now, when you're going through this process for any catalog you're working with, depending on the print provider, what you want to start by doing is see if there's any specific products that you are more drawn towards, that you feel like maybe, hey, I could design better for this one, or I feel more confident with this product, whatever it may be. You're verifying the product type anyway, so might as well start with one that interests you the most. In this case, for the purposes of this training, we're going to go ahead and work with the 20-ounce skinny tumbler right here. So we're going to use this product throughout the rest to keep things cohesive and easier to understand. So once you have selected a product from your print provider's catalog, you're going to head over to Etsy, and you want to be in either incognito mode or a private browsing window. And the reason why you want to do this is because Etsy has an algorithm that tracks you as a buyer. They want to show you what they think you're going to buy. So that means if you have clicked on any specific products, if you clicked into any specific shops, Etsy's going to tailor the search results towards that specific product or that specific shop, which is going to be inaccurate for you as someone who's doing research right now. So whenever you're doing research, always make sure you're in either incognito or a private browsing window. So again, now that we've selected our product, we have Skinny Tumbler selected, we're going to go ahead and type that into the search bar. Now in this case, I typed in Skinny Tumbler. I could have just typed in Tumbler as well, but I wanted to get a little bit more specific. Typically speaking, you just want to go with the more broad term for the item, but in this case, I went a little bit more narrow, which gives me even more accuracy with my search. So I have Skinny Tumbler typed in right here. And now that I have some search results in front of me, I'm looking at the potential analysis. So what I want to look at is I want to see, okay, do I have shops that have 500 or more reviews in front of me? Are there more than one of those shops that are in front of me? Did I have to scroll all over and go to page 5? You typically want to see this fairly quick if you've just typed in the base product category keyword. You're also looking for the stat of 5,000 or more sales and within the past few years. So we can see these different listings in front of us. We immediately see, bestseller, popular now, popular now, popular now, bestseller, bestseller, bestseller. So we're seeing right away, it looks like decent metrics. But now we need to click into these listings so we can get to the shops to see if they meet these pieces of criteria. Now, one thing I do want to note when you're going through this process, as you went from your print provider's catalog, you brought over the base kind of keyword for the product itself, and you've searched it, you can absolutely change up that search from, again, like Skinny Tumbler to Tumbler. You could even type in Tumbler Cup in this example. The more variation of searches you do, the more solidified data you're going to get. You want to really get an understanding, but still at a glance view, okay, is this product type worth it or not for me? So it may require a little bit more digging for some and less digging for others, but it is good to change up the search a little bit here and there. So with that being said, I've went ahead and I've clicked into any of the shops that I've seen that had 500 or more reviews on the page. I have 3 right here as an example. Now, when you get inside these shops, the main thing you want to do first and foremost before you get, awestruck by numbers, when you're like, oh my gosh, they've sold 50,000 of these, you want to immediately go over to the search bar and you want to type in the base keyword here. So in this case, I just want to type in Tumblr because I'm already in the shop. If they have a lot of Tumblr results, I'm going to know, okay, hey, they are selling a lot of this specific product type. So for this shop right here, you can see on the left-hand side, they already have 480 20-ounce skinny tumblers highlighted in their shop. So we really don't even need to search anything for this one. We already know that over half of their listings are specifically tumblers, if not more. If we went down to the next one, this shop has 10,000 sales. And when we type in Tumblr as the keyword here, you can see that 346 of their items out of 346 of their items are literally all tumblers. So we know this is a Tumblr-focused shop, which is a great data point. And then if we go down a little bit further here, you can see that this shop has 14,138 sales. When we type in Tumblr over here, you can see that 652 of their 880 results are all containing the keyword tumbler. So we're immediately seeing, okay, there's immediately multiple shops. They've made, either tens of thousands of sales or at least 10,000 sales, and they are predominantly selling tumblers, or at least half of their shop is all tumblers in this case. So now we need to see, did they actually start selling in the last few years? So when you're looking at this metric specifically, you're just trying to get a viewpoint. Okay, is this relevant to today? Did this happen back in, 2015, and it's been now 10 years since they, made any wave of sales? And so a couple ways you can do that is for each of these shops, you can click into the reviews, and towards the bottom of the page, not always, but sometimes you can see the shop starting date. So if I actually scroll down this list a little bit right here, you can see that for this shop, when I did scroll to the bottom where the reviews are, the 14,000 sales are since 2023. So it tells me in the last, it's the beginning of 2025 now. So the last year and a half or so, they've generated 14,000 sales. So they're immediately meeting that metric. Now for the other shops, for whatever reason, Etsy doesn't show us for every single shop when they started. So you have to go over to like a tool like Everbee or other research tools out there, which we'll actually look into Everbee more in just a little bit. But you can go into Everbee, go to the shop analyzer tool, and when you type in the shop name, you can actually see right here the shop age, and you can see how long have they been in Etsy shop for, which then helps you solidify, okay, were these sales actually done in a realistic time frame? And then step number 4, margin analysis, probably the most important part of the entire process here. Are you going to be able to make money with this product or not? So after fees and production costs, what would your profit be based on top selling products in this potential product type? Now notice I said top selling. You need to ensure you're not referencing the products that are not selling well within that product type. You can find any expensive products that aren't selling. You need to find the top selling products within the product type you're looking at and see what their price points are. If you can verify that, wow, I could use that price point on my products and still make good margin, then wow, that would be a great thing, because that means you're going to be able to sell at the same volumes as that seller. So in front of me right here is the Etsy margin analysis. Now, I want to double down some emphasis here on the importance of thoroughly going through this and checking your price points and making sure that you're actually going to make money. I've seen way too many sellers out there who get all excited over a product. They jump into it, head first. They start making designs. They start launching listings. They maybe even start, making some sales here and there. And then they realize, wow, I'm not making any money. And it's because they didn't thoroughly go through the margin analysis to see, are they able to actually, A, price their product effectively, and then B, the important part, make money, make profit after all fees. So we want to account for every single fee, whether it is an Etsy fee, a transaction fee, a production fee, ad spend. We want to account for everything before we've made a single sale, so we know we have a clear path to run with. Now, the importance of the margin analysis, again, comes back to the top seller data points. What are their price points? If you're referencing the wrong data here, you're not going to get accuracy with this. If you have a great price point in place that you see best sellers using, you know for a fact you can sell at scale. You can match their volume. But if your pricing is too high compared to theirs, I will tell you all day long, you could have great designs, great products, great everything, and you're just going to be sitting below the curve because you can't price as well as these other competitors can. So when we're going through this process, first and foremost, looking at average price point from, again, these top sellers. So if we have that in place, we're looking at their product cost and their shipping costs together. Some sellers will put more into the product. Some will put more into shipping. Some will make it, a healthy balance. But with that being said, product cost and shipping together is the price point you're actually looking at. Now, next, Etsy fees. Etsy fees go as follows. You have a 6.5% transaction fee. You have a 3% processing fee. You also have a 25-cent additional fee for processing. And then you do have a 20-cent listing fee, which I do not have on here, but you can add that into your margin as well. Now, with that being said, I just like to round up to 10%. When I'm going through this process, I'm trying to get a quick viewpoint that is overall accurate, giving me clarity on, am I actually in the range I need to be or not? So again, I round up to 10% to make my life easier. So that's taking both the seller's product price and the seller's shipping cost, and you're going to times that by 0.10 to give you a 10% fee. Next, you're looking at Etsy ads. Now with Etsy ads, again, before you've made a single sale, you're going to assume that some of that sale is going to go towards ads. I specifically have a 15% total ACoS in place right here. Now that means 15% of all of the revenue I'm generating is assumed to be spent on ads. Now, this number comes from a basis of 425,000 sales on Etsy, being willing to spend money on ads, being willing to optimize things, being willing to scale. So this number is backed by a whole lot of data, and this number is also used by hundreds of other sellers who have achieved the 6 and or 7-figure level. So you have to understand this is a very accurate number to shoot for, that 15% total ACoS in your business. Now, with how Etsy calculates things, this is based on the item cost and not the shipping side. When you're looking at your ACoS on Etsy's ad dashboard, you're going to be seeing that based on the item cost. I wish Etsy would throw in the shipping as well, but unfortunately they don't. So with that being said, it can be skewed because if a lot of your items have a whole lot more in shipping or a lot less in shipping, it can definitely tinker with those numbers. But with that being said, just as an average, you can think 15% of the product cost right here is what you're going to be spending on every single sale that is made within that product type. So then we're going to go through and we're going to tally everything up, and then we're going to see our profit per unit. So we're looking at Etsy fees plus Etsy ads plus fulfillment costs. Then we're looking at the total price with the product costs and shipping costs from these top sellers. And then we're going to subtract all of those costs, and that's going to give us our rough profit per unit. So let's go through an example of this. So I went ahead and I plugged in all of the numbers into the margin analysis to give me the accurate read on what the profit per unit is going to be based on the average price points from these top sellers. So let's run through these numbers right here. So our verified price point is right around $27.98. That's $21.99 going to the product and $5.99 going to the shipping based on these top seller price points. Now, with this being said, if we take those price points together and we times that by 0.1 for 10%, we're looking at about 2.8, so $2.80 for every single unit we sell within this product type. Now, if we go down further, we're looking at the total ACoS. So remember, how the ACoS is calculated on Etsy only assumes the product cost. So we're actually going to use $21.99 here to then times that by 0.15, which gives us $3.30 for every single unit we sell that's going towards Etsy ads. So we're actually assuming quite a bit of cost associated with ads, which is a good thing. You want to assume higher cost because if it's better than that, you're going to be in an even better boat when it comes to profit. So then we can add up all of these fees, and then we're going to subtract that from our total price point. So we're looking at $2.80 going to the fees. We're looking at $3.30 going to Etsy ads, $15.50 for fulfillment on this item. We have a $27.98 for our total price point, minus the total cost, which is $21.60. We're looking at $6.38 of profit per unit, which is an awesome area to land in for a POD products. So to give you guys some context here, we're always shooting for about a $5 or more margin. So $6.38 after everything, including ad spend, is a great place to be at. So I wanted to show you a comparison here because this product type can actually be accessed through Printify. And with Printify premium pricing, when you're paying for a Printify subscription, you can get this discounted down to $17.02. For shipping, it's $7.79, which brings your total fulfillment costs all the way up to $24.81, which is not the best setup there. So after fees and ads and fulfillment costs, with that verified price point in place, for every unit you sell, you're going to lose $2.93. That is not a good place to be at, which is making it so it's just unrealistic to offer this product if Printify is your fulfillment partner. Okay, so once you've gone through this process for the product type you've chosen from the print partner you're working with, if you don't already, you can go ahead and create your Etsy account now. Now, this is something, again, I'm not going to give a full tutorial on. You can probably figure it out if you just go through Etsy sign-up process, but if you need to, you can jump into a different YouTube video to figure out the details on that. Again, it's pretty simple. But one thing I want to note with this is when you are naming your shop, I highly suggest to name it something relevant to what you're going to offer. So if it's like drinkware, then probably make it something maybe related to drinkware. Like for me, I did Wimley mugs for my shop, one of my 4 shops. And with that being said, I mean, we offered coffee mugs there. We offered tumblers there. We offered Christmas ornaments there. So it's not like it's going to just box you into that, but I do like to, again, name it something relevant to at least where I'm going to be starting. Hopefully overall, it'll fit the theme of my shop. Okay, so now that we've talked through everything with fulfillment, with, what you want to look at on Etsy, as well as the key metrics you want to look at for verifying if a product type is high potential or not. We've talked through strategic product types. We've talked through mainstream print providers. Now we need to move into building your high potential product list. first and foremost, what is a high potential product list and why do I need one? This might be a question you're asking right now. What the heck is an HPP list? Well, let me explain it to you. A high potential product list is a compiled list of products that you know are in demand based off of market research. You'll want a high potential product list because each time you go to work on moving your business forward, you can be sure that you're spending time effectively by working on the products that have potential. So basically, a high potential product list is going to map out all of the in-demand products within the high potential product type you have chosen. Okay, so let's build your high potential product list. So to build your list, you'll be identifying 15 to 20 Etsy shops that are selling successfully within your HPPT or your high potential product type. Now, to find these 15 to 20 Etsy shops, you're going to be doing an exercise that I refer to as casting your net. So to cast your net properly, you need to keep 4 things in mind. You need to be thinking of people, you need to be thinking of professions, animals, and events. Now, these are the 4 search categories that I found that allow you to cast your net as wide as possible. You're going to take each of these search categories and plug them into the Etsy search bar, followed by your main product type keyword. So you might be like, whoa, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. Are you going fishing? What is going on here? And the answer is yes, I am going fishing, but I'm going fishing for the Etsy sellers who have generated big sales within the product types I'm selling in so that I'm able to reverse engineer the search volume to figure out what exact products I need to be offering in my storefront. So let's go over an example of what this would look like if your high potential product category or high potential product type was tumblers. So I went ahead and I put together a chart for you to better describe this process because it can be a little bit confusing when it's just words on a screen that are unorganized. So in this case, I have 4 columns. I have people, professions, animals, and events mapped out. Now, when you're doing this process, one important thing to note is there is no right or wrong answer for what you're plugging into each of these. For people, just think of people: mom, dad, aunt, sister-in-law, grandpa. Professions: teacher, nurse, CPA, coach, manager. Animals: dog, cat, panda, fox, giraffe. It doesn't really matter. You're brainstorming right now. You're trying to plug in as many different terms within these different columns as possible. Now, when you're going through this process, again, the reason why you're using these 4 is that search volume is generally spread across these 4 at a higher rate in POD across any product type versus other categories of search. So it means you're going to find more shops that are selling successfully within your product type. So that is really the goal here. You're trying to get a lot of searches generated in order to find a lot of different shops, which will eventually help you qualify 15 or 20 of those shops, which is going to then point you right towards the products that are selling great. So building your list criteria. So as you're going through this process and you're doing the net casting exercise and you're going through people and professions and animals and events and you're generating a bunch of pages of search results as you're going through, what you want to start doing is you want to click on any shop that has 500 or more shop reviews. Now, the more searches, the merrier. You want to at least get to 20 searches per column. I would try to aim for maybe 50 or so. Generate lots and lots of results so you can find more and more shops. So again, as you find these shops, you're going to click on any of them that have 500 or more shop reviews. Once you are inside their shop, you're going to check and see, are the majority of their products offered, roughly 50% or so, are they within your high potential product type? And once you've identified that, yes, they are, 50% or more within my product type, you're going to see if they've generated roughly 5,000 or more sales in the past few years, which is the exact same process you did in the first place as you were qualifying to see, is this a high potential product type or not? So you're using the exact same criteria, but you're doing this not just with a couple shops, you're finding at least 15 to 20, which is going to give you a massive pool of data to pull from. So I went ahead and I condensed down the information in more of a checklist right here to make it easier for you. So again, you're going to go through this process with the net casting. Every single time you have a new search that happens, if you see a shop that has 500 or more reviews, you want to click into that shop. You need to determine, do they have 50% or more of their products offered specifically in your high potential product type? And then, was a shop open within the last few years? If so, great. Has a shop made at least 5,000 or more sales? Now, if the shop you're looking at is mostly meeting the criteria, you can add it onto your high potential product list. You can grab that shop name for now, isolate it over, and you're going to use that in a minute when you get 15 to 20 of those duplicated. Now, when you're going through this criteria, you don't have to be like a super stickler. If the shop has 450 reviews, you can click on it. If the shop has 40% of their products offered within your HPPT and they didn't quite hit the 50%, you can still add it to your list. If the shop opened, let's say, 7 years ago, but they have 100,000 sales, that's also fine as well. If the shop maybe opened like 1 year ago and they have like 4,500 sales, that's also okay. So really what I'm trying to get at is you can be somewhat flexible with this data, and the more shops you add onto your list, the better. So you want to add as many as possible. And again, isolate the shop name over, because you're going to use that to generate your full high potential product list in a moment. Okay, so this is where the process starts to get fun. So as you begin identifying the shops that meet the criteria, you're going to want to fast track your data collection by using a tool called everbee.io. Now, this software has a shop analyzer tool, which allows you to gather Etsy listing data with the click of a button. This is massively beneficial when looking to identify products that are in demand from top selling shops that are making it onto your list. So the process is going to go as follows. If the shop meets the criteria that we just covered, you're going to go to everbee.io and you're going to go into the shop analyzer tool. Then you're going to move into plugging the shop name into the shop analyzer tool. Once you've done that, you're going to export that data, and Everbee is going to send you an email for all of the listing data, which we'll look at in a minute. And you just need to repeat this process across 15 to 20 verified Etsy shops on your list. So this is the beauty of things in 2025. It is so simple. Once you find the shops that are doing well, you can scrape the data super easily and reverse engineer the search volume rather quickly with a tool like Everbee. All right, so let's walk through the process on everbee.io here. So once you are on everbee.io, in the top right-hand corner, you can either sign into your account if you have one, or you can sign up for free. Once you are in your account, on the left-hand side over here, you'll see the Shop Analyzer tool, which is what you're going to be using, so you can click into that. Once you have the Shop Analyzer tool in front of you, you're going to paste in the first shop name that made it on your list. After you search that first shop name that made it on your list, you're going to see the overview, but you want to navigate to the Listings tab. So when you navigate to the Listings tab, it's located right here in the middle, which will give you the product analytics. And then over on the right-hand side, you're going to click on that export button to export that data to your email. Once you are in your email, I highly recommend opening it with Google Sheets if you do have a Gmail account here. It's just much more easy to manage, and it saves the updates live. And then all you need to do is just repeat this process across all 15 to 20 shops that met the criteria that are on your list. So as you complete this process on all 15 to 20 shops that met the criteria, you've ran them each individually through the Everbee Shop Analyzer tool. At that point in time, you're going to have 15 to 20 separate emails sent to you containing each individual shop's data from Everbee. So what you're going to want to do to not have it all, strewn out everywhere, you don't want to have, 15 to 20 different spreadsheets here. You're going to want to move them all into one, what I call a master list. So all you need to do is just create a new Google Sheet. You can name it your master list for whatever product type you're doing, and you're going to just copy and paste the information from each spreadsheet over into that master list. So as you add each of these in, you're going to realize as you get to 15 or 20 that you're going to have actually like thousands and thousands of products that have been now added into a list, and it will look really daunting at first. But don't worry, we're going to quickly cut out the waste here because there's a lot of bad data or irrelevant data or things you just don't need to be referencing, and we're going to focus you in on what matters most, which you can think of this as basically the 80-20 rule. The 20% of these shops' products are driving probably more than 80% of their sales, so you're going to be cutting out the 80% of waste and just doubling down on the few hundred products that are actually driving success for these shops. So I'm going to go ahead and run through the refining process that you're going to apply to your entire master list so you understand exactly what you're going to be doing to trim away all of the waste, all of the fat that you don't need to be worried about. And then we're going to move over to a Google Sheet so you can actually see all the information that Everbee provides us and understand this filter process a little bit better. So the first thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be filtering the entire master list from total sales from high to low. When you apply this filter, what's going to happen is it's going to move all of the best-selling products to the very top of that list. And if you think of it this way, you already put in some base criteria to begin with, so you're focusing on shops that were qualified. They had thousands of sales that you're referencing. You made sure that they're selling in your product type specifically for the most part. And so you're basically grabbing a huge portion of the Etsy market, you're slapping it into one giant data collection sheet, and now you're filtering the best-selling ones to the top. So what does that mean specifically? You've now solidified the products that are most in demand because they would not have hundreds, if not thousands of sales on the platform without a tremendous amount of search volume behind them. So the next thing you're going to do here is you're going to want to remove irrelevant data, which is typically incorrect product type. So when you've added shops onto your list that maybe only 50% of their products are within your HPPT, in these cases, you're going to get products that jump onto your list, even ones that have sold hundreds of times over that are from other product categories. So be really careful here. Don't get shiny object syndrome and think, oh my gosh, that product sold, 785 times. I should just launch that one. Don't do it. It's not worth your time. Remove all of those irrelevant products. You can come back to them later on if you take on those product types specifically in the future, but don't worry about them now. Just delete them off your list. The next thing you're going to want to do here is you're going to want to remove duplicates. So this is duplicates of the exact same product. Now you need to be careful here. So what I mean by duplicates is there's going to be products that are highly in demand that have sold extremely well from this shop, extremely well from this other shop, and maybe 3 other ones that are on your list too. Sometimes these products are highly in demand and they've all sold hundreds of times over. So you need to make sure, okay, you don't need to have 5 of the exact same item in your store. So you need to remove those duplicates. Now, why I say be careful is sometimes there's examples where they're very closely related. I use the example often of, like, let's say in this case for a tumbler, let's say you had a new mom tumbler versus a best mom ever tumbler. Those are technically both mom tumblers. However, they're 2 different specific searches. Best mom ever, more established mom. New mom, she just had a baby. 2 different customers there in that case, or 2 different shoppers. So you need to be careful with that process, but you don't want to end up with 5 of the exact same product. Next, you want to remove any obvious trademark infringement products here. And I've heard sellers tell me, oh, well, you know what? Disney doesn't go after sellers anymore, or this company doesn't go after them, or whatever it may be. And I tell them the same thing every time. Is your business, worth losing to you because you chased one product that had the potential to sell hundreds or thousands of times over? Is that really, really worth it for the long term? The answer is never yes there. You should never chase anything that's going to put your business at risk. So anything that has a tinge of trademark infringement on it, I stay far away from those products. I've seen trademark infringements come at me before. I've seen trademark infringements come at other sellers, and I've seen some of the biggest sellers on Etsy literally go down because of trademark infringement. So stay away from it. If you need to check a trademark or you're unsure, you can go to the uspto.gov website. There's also other trademark tools out there that make the process even easier to be able to check design trademarks or phrase trademarks or anything like that. Now you're going to go through this process all the way down your list until you get to products that have sold less than 20 times. That's kind of like your base floor. You don't really need to be looking at products or leveraging products that have sold less than 20 times. There's just not necessarily as much demand for those products, or there was something massively done on that product that maybe did have demand that never really generated the sales. So you're going to really go through one by one in this case, which a lot of sellers avoid this. They think it's tedious. They think it's too much time spent here. And that's what's going to separate you from the other sellers. If you're willing to go through and filter down, you are going to get a perfect list of products that are highly in demand. There's not going to be duplicates. There's not going to be risk for trademark. You're going to be able to have solidified the most potential in your entire product type right in front of you, and now you can take action. So be meticulous here. Be willing to go through the process. And to be honest, when you're going through this, if you chop off anything that's sold less than 20 times, you'll realize that probably half your list or more is going to go away anyways. Okay, so I'm over in a spreadsheet right now from an Everbee export, and I want to run through some of these different columns. Now, Everbee provides you literally every piece of data that you could possibly think of for an Etsy product. So I highlighted the specific columns that matter the most, the ones that I personally use that are going to be, important for you to be referencing as well. So what you'll notice is you see the title for the product. You have the product link right next to it, which is going to take you directly to that product so you can view it on Etsy. We're going to skip over the next ones because they're not as important. In this column right here, we have the total sales column, which this one's extremely important. This is the one where we're going to create a filter, which I'll show you how to do in a minute. You also have the listing age column, which this is a great one to reference. Okay, when did this seller actually get this listing launched? Because you can see products that have launched like 6 months ago versus like a couple years ago, which is really helpful there. And then if you continue all the way through, again, there's a bunch of data that I just don't reference personally. But Everbee did something really awesome with their software. They added in a tags column where they dropped in all of the tags, which is really helpful for you to see them all, one after another, which with the title shown and the tag shown, now you know exactly what keywords these specific sellers are leveraging. And if they've sold these products, thousands of times over or hundreds of times over, what does that mean? It means that these are the keywords that customers are using to find these products and make purchases within your high potential product type. Now, Everbee also gives you these as individual tags, so you can see each individually, tag 1, tag 2, tag 3, and so on. So it is helpful as a breakdown there, but I do like this feature here. Now, back over to the start of the spreadsheet right here, if you go into this column for total sales and you click into it, you can actually see, if I scroll over, you can sort from A to Z or Z to A. So if I go to A to Z, it's going to give me my products that have the least amount of sales first, all the way to the most sales at the bottom. And if I filter back the other way, if I go Z to A here, so I'm going to go Z to A, I can now see the products that have sold the most. So this one sold 1,000 times over. We have 844, 758, and so on. So we can see products immediately at the top that have hundreds and hundreds of sales. Now, the next filter you're going to be doing here is specifically related to removing the irrelevant product types away. So in this column right here, product name, you can filter by specific keywords. So you can create a filter for either the word like tumbler or cup, or depending on what your product type is. And if the seller is doing well, they're going to have, at least one keyword of tumbler or one keyword of cup in there. And you can isolate those products specifically, which will automatically remove away any other irrelevant ones, like let's say it's a t-shirt or a print or something else within that shop. So you can filter that out to cut your list down as well. And then as you're going through the list, you want to see, is there anything that immediately jumps out to you where it's like, this is clearly trademarked? Does it say like Harry Potter? Does it say like Little Mermaid? Does it say, some cartoon, some movie, some book? You want to really see those big trademark ones that pop out at you, and you just want to remove them from your list. Don't even look at the sales, because sometimes they've sold thousands of times over. But again, you don't want to put your business at risk to chase after one awesome product opportunity that it could, again, take your entire shop down. So after you've gone through this process thoroughly, at this point in time, you should start to feel some excitement brewing. And the reason you should feel this is because you have been verifying every aspect of what you've been doing thus far to ensure that your focus is going to be in the right place. You went through and you found a product type that is a high potential product type. You've made sure that you have great margins, you have access to the fulfillment, you are confident that you can price effectively like all these best sellers. You've then went through and you've, chosen the shops that have really good metrics on Etsy, so they're doing really well with the product type you've chosen. And then you've exported all of that data and you've isolated the specific products. You've filtered through, you've refined the list, you've focused in now on the best selling products. So you have literally gone through and you have proven to yourself that here is the path to success. If I can launch these products, I can have a lot of search volume, a lot of demand behind my business day in and day out. And now all I need to do is put in the work. So you should be excited. Give yourself a pat on the back a little bit, and we'll continue on to the next part, which is part 2 of building your list. So part 2 of building your list is with what I call verified events. Now, verified events are a crucial part of your high potential product list. However, the results generated from running the Shop Analyzer tool on the top shops in your product category will most likely not include products from many different events, holidays, or seasons. So the reason why Everbee may not pick up on these different occasions is because there is a micro spike during a shorter period of time, leaving the vast majority of the remaining months at a 0 sales level or a very low sales level. This does not mean that you shouldn't have the products for all of these different events. It's actually in your best interest and can be crucial, especially as a new business owner. This will lay a foundation of sales and reviews in your business and give you initial momentum to succeed moving forward. So I have in parentheses right here, leveraging Mother's Day. So I want to talk about this for a minute. I have leveraged Mother's Day year after year after year after year in my business, and it has been a vital part for me to grow with new product types that I'm launching for my business. And so I have 2 different examples of how effective this can be, and it's not just with Mother's Day, but I want to just show this as an example to a verified event that can really give you a lot of traction when you're jumping into a new product type. So what I did back when I launched Wimley Mugs is I had some data already. I had some data from my other shop, Sigmo Creations, where I knew during Mother's Day, there was very specific items that picked up with a lot of search volume out of nowhere. These were items for all these mom and grandma terms, which are like Mimis and Gigi's and Mimas and Nanas and Nonas and all these names I never thought I'd even know in my entire life. But what I can tell you is that I saw a massive amount of sales increase for these random one-off items. At least I thought they were random at the point in time. And what I realized was, whoa, that was a huge amount of demand that gave me a ton of exposure out of nowhere. And after that season, I realized my sales were actually higher than they were before because I got the visibility, which allowed me to get rank on those products and stay visible all year round now. So when I launched Wimley Mugs, I specifically leveraged Mother's Day as our very first product. So we launched about 35 different coffee mugs. We had, again, coffee mugs for Mimi, for Gigi, for Nana, for Nona, for great grandma, for auntie, for, everyone you can think of on there. Any names for moms, grandmas, or relatives that are applicable for the season. And we got those 35 coffee mugs up. And what happened was honestly spectacular. We literally sold a few thousand items. We got hundreds of reviews in our shop. We ranked all over the place for those new products. And now we moved into the next season with way more momentum and a lot better data in our shop. So we looked a lot more appealing to buyers. So with this being said, any event can do this, whether it is Mother's Day, Father's Day, it could be Easter, it could be, of course, Christmas, Halloween. There's so many different events out there that have a tremendous amount of search volume. And it can be really important for you to leverage these as a new seller, and can be amazing for you to leverage as a seller who's been established for a while, because you get all of these micro spikes throughout the year, keeping your sales strong and steady. So when working with verified events, what you're going to do is on the bottom of your master list, you're going to type in all of the verified events into individual rows. This will create placeholders for each upcoming event, and it will be your job to prioritize which upcoming event you will leverage. So you may say yes to some and no to others, and you may wait on some and immediately jump on others depending on what time of year you are building this list in. So for smaller events, you will only be building out a few high potential products. And other large scale events such as, Mother's Day and Father's Day and Christmas, you will include up to maybe a few dozen high potential products each. So I'm going to show you an example here of some of the verified events you might add into your list and show you adding in those placeholders. And then we'll go into mapping out some of those individual products for these verified events. So in this example right here, I am at the bottom of my master list, and I have a verified events kind of column highlighted here. So I know, okay, anything below this is where my verified events sit. And now I've just added in the placeholders for each event. You're not going to just launch, one item for Valentine's Day, one item for St. Patrick's Day, one item for Easter, and so on. These are, again, placeholders that you're going to fill actual individual products in underneath each specific event. So some examples of verified events are, again, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Easter, spring, Mother's Day, Father's Day, 4th of July. You got different seasons. So you got summer and fall and winter, all of that. You have back to school, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, winter, Christmas. And then you also have other ones like Appreciation Week. So there's really big ones for Nurse Appreciation Week or Teacher Appreciation Week. These are massive events for POD items. You also have different awareness months. So you can, pull up calendars and look at when awareness months are, so you can build products for those specific months. So if you are stacking across a bunch of these verified events, like I said, you are going to get consistency all throughout the year. It's not going to happen overnight because it's going to take you a while to build out for both of these. But imagine this. Imagine you mix both your evergreen high potential products that sell year round with all of these different big events and micro events all throughout the year. You're going to get this big, giant uptick all year long with these different seasons that take place. So it's really important to add these in and then fill out the individual in-demand products right underneath them, which we're going to look at next. So when you go to work with each verified event that is making it on to your list, all you need to do is, first and foremost, you need to go into incognito mode. So again, you see the most realistic version of rank, which is the products that are selling the most for whatever term you've typed in. You need to take your verified event, and then you need to add in your base product category keyword. So in this example, it is Mother's Day tumbler is what I've typed into the search bar here. When you make that search, you want to then start analyzing the designs that are popping up. So you're looking to see, okay, which products are selling for the term Mother's Day tumbler. And when I go through this process, I can also switch out the term tumbler for cup or tumbler cup or travel mug, other product category keywords or product type keywords. So I can ensure that I'm getting kind of a more wide or broad reach. I can scroll around, I can really navigate around and find all of these different designs that are doing well, which will lead me to finding the high in demand individual products like a mom tumbler, grandma tumbler, Gigi tumbler, Mimi tumbler, auntie tumbler, Nana tumbler in this case for Mother's Day. And for any event you do, you're going to find some different nuances there. If it's St. Patrick's Day, you might see like Clover tumblers or Lucky tumblers or different things things like that. If it is, Father's Day, you might see like a papa tumbler, a grandpa tumbler, a dad tumbler, like new dad. You're going to be seeing all these different designs underneath that broader term that you've plugged in to the Etsy search bar. Now, in order to solidify if these are going to be worth your time, what you do want to do is you would ideally want to either click into the listing and you want to see things like, how many favorites does this product have? Does it have like a bestseller badge? Does it have a lot in carts? If it's not close to the season, you just have to rely heavier on the favorite side because that will tell you, okay, it did sell at one point in time. You can also use the Everbee extension here, and you can get the product analytics right there on the page so you can see, okay, what are the metrics on this specific item? So it's basically like zeroing in on one product on a high potential product list to see, okay, does it meet the criteria? So if you have the Everbee extension, it's definitely worth it to run here to choose which specific designs you're going to launch for the verified event. Now, one thing I recommend is having all of your verified event products launched about 8 weeks before the event is happening. So some can be closer to the event, some can be, further away from the event, depending on how big the magnitude of the event is and how much search volume actually happens for that event. But with that being said, I think 8 weeks is a good general rule of thumb. So once you've qualified those specific products underneath the verified event, you can go ahead and come back over to your master list. And underneath that placeholder, you can start adding these individual ones in. So you can see in this example, right underneath Mother's Day, I have mom, grandma, Mimi, Gigi, auntie, abuela, great grandma, nana, and more underneath there, but just showing you as an example. So you're going to add these in, and then you just need to prioritize, okay, when do I need to have these launched by to meet my specific 8-week window? Now, one thing I want to quickly touch on here, in addition to, getting your products launched on time for these verified events, is the continued prioritization of the specific products you're working on as a POD business owner. You need to make sure that you're prioritizing the right products at the right time. If you're just focused on the evergreen side, that can be great, but you could be missing out on a massive opportunity that is right in front of you. And sometimes there's way more potential with these than you think. So for example, like Nurse Appreciation Week and Teacher Appreciation Week are some of the biggest of the year for POD sellers. So you really need to make sure that you are prioritizing. Prioritization is a key component to your success as a POD seller. You need to make sure, okay, in the next few weeks, which products do I need to have live? In the next few months, which products do I need to have live? And you need to exhaust that list so you're always focusing on what the most important aspect of your business is: active search volume. When you're prioritizing these events, you are plugging into search volume that is increasing and increasing and increasing and increasing at all times a year, and it avoids these big dips and lulls in your business as a POD seller. So now that you have your high potential product list built, you know all about the importance of prioritization, you can now begin learning from this high potential product list. So your list serves two different purposes. Number one, it maps out all of these specific in-demand products that you will launch inside your business. So it's taking away all of the guesswork. You know you will not waste your time if you're doubling down on these products because you know they're in demand. Now, second, it's a refined list of best-selling products in your high potential product type with all of the proven data you need to know to be able to sell successfully within that HPPT. So with the right process in place, you'll be able to extract the necessary information from your list to equip you in becoming a master of your product category or a master of that product type. So these two different things here highlight the most important aspects to your success as a POD business owner. Focusing on what matters, and then bringing value, equipping yourself with what's going to work to allow you to actually sell at scale. Now, when you have this refined list of best-selling products from your product type, think of this as like a golden piece of market research. That should be your best friend. You should study that thing more than anything else. Don't look at anything else. After you have that list built, all the answers to all of your questions sit inside that list, and the only lock to that information is your willingness to study and extract out exactly what is working. So with all of this proven data in front of you, like I said, the only thing that's going to hold you back is your own willingness to put in the work and to double down and study that list like you are a student. You should go product by product by product by product by product all the way down that list and learn by exposure. Now, nearly every single seller who wants really fast results with what they're doing at this point in time is chasing after some other software that can do do this process for them. They're chasing after, something like AI is going to make the best designs in the world for me, or whatever it may be. They're just chasing something that seems to be easier, and it makes it way harder for them to actually drive results. So if you truly want to find success in 2025, become a student of your high potential product list. Learn from it. It will tell you everything you need to do with your designs. It'll tell you everything you need to do with your photos. It'll tell you everything you need to do for your keywording, for your pricing, any offer tactics, your descriptions, literally every aspect to your listing you can learn from these best sellers. When you're studying your list, you will pick up on nuances of design, all these elements that I call KDAs within your product type that are working over and over and over again, key design attributes. If you're studying all of these bestsellers, you're going to see the photo structure that works. What do they lead with? What do their secondary photos look like? What style and theme are they focusing in on? Do they use any specific fonts? Do they use specific colors? As you get into their titles and tags, are there any specific keywords you keep seeing over and over and over again in both their title and in their tags? When you look at their pricing structures, what are they doing? Are they leveraging a low display price? Do they have variations that are priced different? Do they have more set into shipping? Like, what are they doing specifically that's allowing them to win? You look at their offer tactics. So things like, do they have a badge on their front photo? Do they have, a specific low display price? Do they do a 24-hour sale? Like, you're going to pick up on these things if you study and you study and you study. But again, you could try to do it the fast way and find a cool new tool and try to have it do it for you. It's just not going to work. I've coached hundreds and hundreds of sellers through this process. I've done it time and time again. I've coached my team members. I've worked with so many people. And the clear distinction of those who really find success with this process are the ones who are not afraid to put in the work. So if you get nothing else out of this session, just double down on this one area, which is learn to be a student of your high potential product list. Learn to focus in on what is working in the marketplace and extract it out and put it in your tool belt and deploy it for you. Because if you can do that at scale, you will absolutely win in 2025, in 2026, in 2027, and so on. So like I said earlier in my training, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because in the coming weeks, I'm going to be deep diving into every single strategic product type you should be leveraging in 2025, show you exactly how to build it with your designs, your photos, your pricing, your offer tactics, everything. And I'm actually going to go into my Etsy shops and go into the listings and show you what we've done with our designs, our photos, our keywording, which has allowed us to generate literally hundreds of thousands of sales on the platform. So I'm really excited to jump into each of those product tutorials with you, and I will see you then.